Good morning, family. What can I say? God woke us up on this beautiful day. He's generous, he's wonderful, he's kind and great. So let's show the Father we appreciate. God's good, God's good, God's good. Good morning, family. What can I say? God woke us up on this beautiful day. He's generous, he's wonderful, he's kind and great. So let's show the Father we appreciate. God's good, God's good, God's good. God's good, God's good, God's good.
Yeah, Mike Type Morning Show. Tell your mama now. Hey, family, good morning. This is your boy, Mike McKay, world famous, world renowned, often talked about, alleged comedian, gentleman and the scholar, intellectual giant in the pool, mental midget, and a connoisseur of fine haberdasheries. Folks, this is a special show today. You can't be on the show today if you're a chicken. It ain't gonna work, okay? This is a special one. I have a guest on I've been waiting to talk to for some time. I've been waiting, but he's been busy. He is sharp. I consider him many things. He's a psychologist. He has a doctorate in psychology. I think of him as a Black thought leader, one of today's top Black thought leaders. Who he's always speaking for our community, the Black community, or should I say pan-africanism. And some of you don't even know what pan-africanism is. If you told me to define it, I had to say something that includes all Black people. That's what I would say, something like that. But I'm sure that would not be the correct answer. But I have with me a gentleman, Dr. Umar Johnson is going to be with us today. Just get a little business off the top. As you know, this is show number 903. Yes, we're racing. We're racing to show 1,000. I've been married to my queen, the wonderful, awesome. Matter of fact, I got a couple of pictures of her. Sonia, who has Simply Sonia, which is the #1 soul food restaurant in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The girl cook her face off. And let me see, I think I got a couple of pictures. I hate to start my show without seeing my baby. Bam! Oh, we just went down to we went to Memphis to hang out with Dr. Joseph Dove, who was celebrating his 30th anniversary with his lovely wife, and that is the doctor, his wife Tina, and some crazy man in the back. I have no idea who that is. But I just want to say thank you to Dr. Dove, all the love that he gives. You know, he buys the children's books that I make, and he gives them to the children whose teeth he does. Now, I don't have my first book with me right now, which is called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the White House. I knocked on the door and a brother answered, and that was a book about Barack Obama, and he bought cases of those. He would give one to each child, and they would do a 3-page summary of who Barack Obama is based on the book. He just bought a bunch of these. Lil Bobby White, and if you haven't got yours yet, they are on Amazon. Lil Bobby White is, although it says it's called Lil Bobby White, the kids are Black. But Lil Bobby White is about a kid who always wins because he always chooses to do the right thing. And it's a story that I don't think we tell enough, which is about being good for goodness sake. You know, we don't teach our kids. Matter of fact, I don't think we teach our kids much of anything nowadays. We give them a device and we send them over in the corner. And 8 years later, we come back and we don't know why they got guns, drugs, you want to call us a motherfucker. So we need to get back to what we're supposed to be doing, which is raising adults, not raising kids. Too many people have been left alone and they've raised themselves and they still are damn kids that they were when they started. But when we can raise responsible citizens, then it makes the whole society better, the community better, and your family better. And everything is about family and God. Once you get family and God down, everything else takes care of itself. That's why I always talk about my queen, because she's everything. She has changed my physical, mental, spiritual DNA. From the way she loved me. She loves me so much it humbles me, and I love it because it makes me stand taller than ever. So good morning, everybody. I've been married to that lovely woman now 257 days today. Woody, woo, 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 won't he do it? Today is Thursday, July 18th. And now, without further ado, let me get to my guest for today, who I'm so excited to have here. I'm very honored to have here. And he's just such a good dude. Get your hands together. And I'll be over here applauding. You'll be at home. Get your hands together for Dr. Umar Johnson right here on the Mike McKay Morning Show. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Glad to be with you, Elder. Big fan of many years, and it's just an honor to be on the platform with you.
Well, I'm gonna tell it to you. I'm nervous about interviewing you because I've been watching you. I love your work. I'm a big fan of yours. I asked you when we started, is there any questions we can't ask? You said there are no questions because I don't want to ask the wrong thing. I mean, I don't know what the wrong thing is. If I'm asking about the truth and you tell it, we should be all right. You know what I'm saying? We had one gentleman on. I really brought him because I believe in his platform. But the way he does his platform, it turns people off so much that he's not really getting his message out there. You know, his message is a good message. But, you know, let me tell you this, Doc. For a long time, I fought the whole Christianity thing. And I fought it because people was pushing it on me, you know? And it's like, I like chocolate ice cream, but if you stuff it down my throat, I'm not going to like it anymore. And when I see those guys stand on the corner with the sandwich signs about Jesus, and you going to hell, I'd be like, yo, if that's the alternative to living in eternity with this mother, I'm going to hell, you know, because he's not really speaking of God, he's speaking of his own energy, because the God energy is a love energy. It's about all encompassing, about lifting people up, about making people feel better. Anything other than that is not a God energy. See, every loving thought, as you already know, every loving thought is real, and everything else is an appeal for healing. You know, so anytime you do anything connect to love, you're on the right track. Anything else, somebody needs to help my ass. Now, I want to tell the folks at home, this is usually a family show. The people who usually chime in know that it's a family show, so we're going to keep the cussing all the way down. We usually try not to cuss at all, but we always fail. But we want to keep it as family as possible, at least respectful. And so with that said, good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Grand Rising, Peace, and Pan-Africanism.
Tell people what that is. What is Pan-Africanism?
Elder, great, tremendous, accomplished comedian and actor, Baba Michael Colyar. Glad to be with you.
Brother, thank you. Tell people what Pan-Africanism is.
And you pretty much hit it on the nose, Baba, when you said it's about the unity of all African people worldwide. That is the essence and soul of Pan-Africanism. It's about focusing on where we come from, not where we are. It's about understanding that where slave ship brought us is not greater than from where the slave ship picked us up. So we're about total solidarity. Although we recognize that we are a diverse people with many cultures, many religions, many ethnicities, many political persuasions, many professions, many professional affiliations, but at the end of the day, we still have a shared ancestral, biological, and historical origin, and that we should focus on what we have in common and not the differences, because as you know, Baba, petty differences is at the heart of why we as African people have not done more for ourselves. And that is not only true for the American African, it's true for the Caribbean African, the Central American African, the South American African, the continental Africans back home, the Africans in Europe. Globally, we have held ourselves back by focusing differences and not similarities.
You know, I will do a quick technical check because I don't see any comments at all. And generally by now I'm full of comments. So I want to make sure we're not on the wrong page or that they aren't.
Several people said they will be chiming in on my social media, so that is kind of strange.
Okay, let me see if really quick, let me check this. Chill, man. Okay, let me go to Rochester. Yeah, because I don't see anything popping up, and I don't know how I could be on the wrong one because you're here with me. So it can't be the wrong one. We both got the same link. So how you feeling this morning, though, while I'm doing that?
I'm doing well. You know, as you know, we're working on a school in Wilmington, Delaware, Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. It's going to be an independent, tuition-based school.
Hold up, because I want you to tell me that so people hear. Hey, are you watching the show?
Of course I am. Yes, I am.
And are we there?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay, because we don't have any comments at all. So I just...
Yeah, the comments are there. I can see them.
Oh, you can see them. Okay, doggone it. I wish I could. Let me see. All right, we're good. Bye. Thank you. I had to hit a button. All right. Okay, now we're in it. So go ahead. Tell me about the school you're building.
Yes, indeed. Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, Baba Mike. We started for this school 10 years ago in April of 2014. And we finally purchased the school in February of 2019, 5 years after we started raising funds. And here
nice.
5 years after we purchased the school. So it's been a 10-year mission, and we're almost at the finish line. We have another layer of paint to put on the walls. We have some floors that need to be covered with carpet and tile, and then we will be applying for our certificate of occupancy from the city of Wilmington, Delaware. And if all goes well, we're going to grand opening celebration sometime this fall.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna ask when did the Willis School open? Somebody was asking when does it open? So you thinking fall?
Yes, sir. And when it does open in the fall, Baba Mike, I can't see us going beyond Kwanzaa for a potential grand opening. We may hold it until Kwanzaa and do 7 nights of Kwanzaa or something to that regard. But we're not looking to begin educating our young people until next summer. So it'll open for the community this fall, and we'll start having fundraising events, community events to build the momentum, obviously open houses for parents and all of that kind of thing. So it'll be a whole year of activity before we start educating our young men.
Wow, I love that. Well, I have so many questions to ask you. And folks, we're here today with Dr. Umar Johnson, who has, I looked at this book here. So, Black Parent Advocate. Talk to me about the importance of parenting in the Black community.
Mike, is a book that I released in 2010, September 18th of 20, excuse me. It was 10-year anniversary of when I came into name, which took place in Chicago, September 18th. I did a public access television interview there. Baba, literally within weeks, I was just known everywhere. And so I'm grateful to Chicago for what, it has done for me. And also New York, because 6 weeks after that September 2010 interview in Chicago, I spoke in Harlem at the National Black Theater, and I took copies of the Chicago interview to Harlem. And literally within a few days after that Harlem lecture, where I distributed the Chicago interview, I was a household name. So on September 18th, 2020, 10 years later, to the very day, I released Black Parent Advocate. So the book is about 4 years old. It still has all Black parents who need to have it. And it's the only book that I am aware of that teaches Black parents how to fight back against the special education trap, the ADHD epidemic, and the school pipeline legally. That book, Baba Mike, it tells you if the school wants to put your child in special ed and you don't agree, this is how you deal with it. If your child needs special ed, but they're not receiving a quality service, this is how you deal with it.
Nice.
And language impairment and you want speech and language services, this is how you deal with it. If your child has a behavior problem in the school and they keep complaining about that behavior problem, that is a book of solutions, and I believe every Black parent should have a copy, and they can purchase a copy from my website, drumarjohnson.com, and I will also have copies at all my upcoming events. So I will be in Columbia, South Carolina, Wednesday, Miami, Florida, next Saturday. I'll be at Eastern Michigan University, August 3rd, for a Black Consciousness Conference, and then I'll be heading over the pond, Baba Mike, to London, England, in the United States.
Okay, well, I got a lot of stuff to ask you about. First of all, you said you mentioned something about Trump, and you said when you were talking about Trump, you said he's a racist, but a breath of fresh air. Do you remember saying that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can you tell me what you mean by that when you say that Trump is a breath of fresh air? What is that?
And when I said Trump was a breath of fresh air, I wasn't speaking of my own personal sentiment of President Trump, because I don't support him. Neither President Biden. Neither option is feasible for me. So I won't for either of them. I may be voting for one of my ancestors, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
For a lot of American Africans and for a whole lot of Caucasians, Donald Trump is a breath of fresh air. When you compare him to President Barack Obama was very calculated with everything he said. He rarely off the cuff. He often seemed as if he rehearsed everything he said publicly. He was extremely careful with his words. Very, very conscious of what he said, which is a good thing. But take it far, people may think that you're not being genuine. Even though Donald Trump came off, in many people's opinions, like an idiot, he spoke from, and a lot of people felt that they would rather have, someone who's inexperienced but completely genuine in front of the camera, as opposed to someone who's very experienced and not so genuine in front of. I always say that.
Wait. Your words are breaking up. All your words break up. You said I always say.
Barack Obama made Donald Trump necessary.
Wow. Go ahead.
Donald Trump never becomes president. Donald Trump was part of the backlash against Black president in the first place, and Donald Trump was an unbridled voice that a lot of Americans had craved to have after years of Obama carefully worded public positions.
Okay, let me say this. I don't think he made them necessary. I don't agree with that. I think he made them possible. In fact, I think when he whooped his ass at that correspondence dinner, the president's correspondence dinner, I think that was the key that kicked it all off. I think he made that man so mad when he put up all this stuff about him being a birther and made fun of him like that, that the people who have the powers, the people who pull the strings for this marionette puppet was like, oh, this will be the perfect stooge to put up as our front because he will battle all these things that we believe in. And Trump being, I think, the perfect fool, he saw an opening. Anytime he see an opening, because I don't think he never got the respect that he always wanted, that his daddy never gave him and the industry never gave him. He was always just a puppet boy who daddy gave him money, and so he can, boast that he's doing this and that, but never had been accepted into the high society. This gets him in that door, and what Barack did to him that night was just beautifully brutal, and I almost could have guessed that this fool would run after that, but I don't know about necessary as much as I would say it made it possible. It made other white folks say, oh, we may have our leader here. We may, because I'm telling you, he was just inches. When he threw his fist up and get shot in the air, he was just inches from going Sikh Heil, and I okay, but we can agree.
Add to Barack Obama was as popular as the media made him, and is not as unpopular as the media attempted to make him. President Obama's victory over Senator McCain during the first race. It may have been a little wider during the second, but during the popular vote, he only him by about 3 million popular votes, which would be the size of a small American state. The victory of people was not as wide as the media made it appear. And the same thing for President Trump. In the popularity polls amongst the American public, they made it appear that he was popular than he actually was. And a lot of that has to do with, as you mentioned earlier, the power structure, the hidden government, and who they actually needed to ascend to that office. Barack Obama was necessary because of the mistakes that President George Bush made. George Bush destroyed America's relationship with Africa. George Bush destroyed that relationship. Barack Obama was necessary because they needed someone who could go back into the continent and heal those relationships with African leaders to make African resources safe for exploitation from America again. Keep in mind, the United government, although it is the United States people, the American people, although a small percentage of the global population, consumes no less than 25% of the resources that come out of Africa. So America is extremely dependent on African resources, and that is why Barack Obama had to be made president. There was another black U.S. congressman, I think his last name is Ford, if memory serves me correctly. He was also a fair-skinned brother with green eyes. They were considering him as well, but they felt Barack Obama would have been the safer of the two picks because he was not a direct descendant of the enslaved African. And so the power structure felt that he would not have the loyalty to Black America that someone else would have had they been a descendant of an enslaved African. And the other Obama was made president is because he had the psychosexual agenda against Black public school students in the interest of population control. So they needed Barack Obama to get Black America to accept childhood transgenderism, to accept childhood LGBTQism. And so Barack Obama is the first president in American history to not only approve same-sex relationship, but approve the teaching of same-sex relationships to our children in public schools. So he became very, very necessary. And Donald Trump is necessary because, as you mentioned already, Baba, he is a warmonger. Donald Trump is willing to go to war. And as a business, he is very much about money over the best interests of the American people. So Donald Trump became necessary for corporate reasons and for military reasons. Presidents are always chosen for a domestic reason and an international reason.
All right, I want you to try and see if your Wi-Fi will work. Okay. Only because I'm losing some of your words. And while you're working on that, here's what I'm gonna have you think about: Black Trumpers and Black Uncle Toms. We think about that. Just you can check his. Hey, y'all, you're at the Michael Colyar Morning Show. I know somebody say, "Hey, this ain't the show. Where's the comedy? Where's the dancing? Where's the God? The God is everywhere. Where I am. Any place I am, the Holy Spirit is there. Any place you are, there is no space where the Holy Spirit does not reside. No matter how beautiful or how crazy it is, God's already in the center of all of it. But the normal show we do, which I love, and I can't wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow is Friday Fun Day. We'll have our vocalists back and comedians and the whole thing. But this is a special 1 hour event because I want to talk to Dr. Umar Johnson, who is so sharp and knows about our culture. Brother, you still with us?
Yes, I am, Baba. Yes, I am. Trying to connect this Wi-Fi.
All right.
Give me
so
1 second.
while
Let me
he's
see
on
if
now,
it
I'm just saying
grabs.
some stuff so he can hear me. He won't be hearing me talk behind his back. He can hear me. To me, still, Barack Obama was the greatest president in my lifetime, and I was here for Kennedy. So when they killed Kennedy in '63, I was a child, but I still remember it. I remember it as though I was an adult who had seen it. It stopped the whole world, because here was a guy, for once, was not screaming about race. Here's a guy who's screaming about what's really right for all the people. Although, like all politicians, they have some other stuff going on in the back room they don't tell us nothing about. But in the forefront, him and, although they said Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the act in '64, Civil Rights Act, Kennedy was coming and having more of an open heart for people in general. Hey, man, we'll go back to the Raggedy Forum because we want you here. So I love me some Barack Obama, and I still do to this day. Now, when we talk about Trump,
I got back on you, though, Bob. I can't let you get off that easy.
Come on.
Respectfully, Baba, here's my Barack Obama supporters.
Okay.
Take the emotionality out. And when Black symbolism out of the Obama administration. It's one solid achievement or advancement that Barack Obama championed for the American African people. I can give you 3 laws he passed. I can give you laws he passed for immigrants. I can give you laws he passed for women. Can you give me one thing he did for the American African people? Nothing. Barack Obama did nothing.
I wish I was more stacked up with my knowledge on that, but that's absolutely that's patently false. I don't agree with that at all. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
It was empty symbolism, and here's the biggest problem. And this is not Obama's fault. I want to be clear. This is on us.
Okay.
To his credit, President Obama never said he would do a single thing for Black people. To his credit. Therefore, I have to fault us as a community for acting like Barack Obama was some kind of a solution, because in doing that, we bought the American power structure 8 years of time to reorganize, remobilize, and re-energize. So as I always say, Barack Obama rocked us to sleep, and Donald Trump was the alarm bell that woke us up.
Okay, here's a couple of things he's done. First of all, President Barack Obama made 62 lifetime appointments of African Americans to serve on a federal bench. First of all, this includes 9 African American circuit court judges.
That's
Okay,
token. That's not changing for the people. That's tokenism.
but he did that though, right? You call it tokenism, but he did do that, right?
Tokens. Don't give me tokens now.
Okay. In foreign policy, he increased the U.S. troops levels in Afghanistan, reduced nuclear weapons in the United States.
That is not affecting Black America, Baba.
So when we go to war, you think they just gonna kill the white people, or they gonna kill the niggas too? When we go to war, you know the first people to go in is gonna be the minorities. We're the first ones. There ain't no politicians' kids going. So if we're staying out of war, that doesn't help the black people.
Oh my goodness. You're giving me at best, Baba, secondary, indirect issues that could impact Black America. But my challenge to that would be homosexuals didn't have to receive secondary gain. Immigrants didn't have to receive secondary gain. White women didn't receive secondary gain. President Obama targeted them directly, just like President Biden. And we can even zero out of President Obama alone, because I know a lot of your viewers, because of their emotional attachment to him, can't really participate in a non-emotional political assessment of Barack Obama's lack of support for Black America. But if we just look at the Democratic Party, let's just go from Clinton's 8 years and Obama's 8 years and Biden's 4 years. We struggled more, and I am no Republican supporter.
Okay.
Very clear. I don't support either plantation, but we struggled more under the Democrats than we did under the Republicans. It was the Democrats who criminalized child support. It was the Democrats who kicked millions of Black women with children off of welfare. It was the Democrats who gave us the crime bill. It was the Democrats who took Black people's civil rights gains that our ancestors fought for and gave them to the homosexuals and immigrants. It was the Democrats who gave us the anti-Asian hate crime bill and anti-transgender crime bill and gave Black people absolutely nothing. All of this took place under the Democrats. We struggled more under the blue than we have under the red.
Well, I don't know about the blue or the red. I know I've always voted Democratic, but are you telling me that Trump is doing good stuff for Black people?
No. Here's what I'm saying. Again, for neither party.
Neither party.
What I'm saying is we are.
Wait, say it again. It went out.
I got you, Baba. We are making a mistake as a people by ourselves with either party in a permanent fashion. We have been Democrat since FDR 1933. This is 1924. So 9 years, Baba, we would have voted overwhelmingly Democrat for an entire century. And my question is, what has the Democratic Party done for the American African people to justify 100 years of loyalty? When you align yourself with people who don't do anything, you're asking for exploitation and abuse. And when you don't have a conversation with the people in the other party sitting across the hall, they won't take it seriously either, because everybody knows Black America is going to vote Democrat because the Black bourgeoisie has brainwashed them into thinking that the Democrats are always on their side, and not. We have to get out the dichotomy, Baba Mike. Jump this Democrat and Republican tug of war. That's not our fight. Our fight is for our empowerment. So let's have a conversation with Joe Biden. Let's have a conversation with Donald Trump. And let's say, what are you willing to give us for our collective Black vote? We never do that. We never sit down with them to discuss our concerns before we run out and vote with no promises, no pledges, no concessions, and we wonder why we get nothing in return. You don't engage in politics in that manner. You get agreements up front. But in order to get agreements up front, you got to do two things, Baba Mike. One, organize the black vote. The black vote is disorganized, Baba Mike.
Okay.
Nobody organized. Why doesn't the black church want a black organized vote? Why doesn't our black elected officials want to organize black vote? Why doesn't the Democratic Party want to organize black vote? Why doesn't the Republican Party want to organize black vote? You know why, Baba Mike? If we
don't want the black vote.
We hold people accountable. An organized black vote can make the governor do what he don't want to do. An organized black vote can make the president do what he doesn't want to do. This is why they always tell us, just go vote. Why they never say organize it first? Just go vote. Because if you just go vote, Baba Mike, you can't.
So
trapped into voting as a disorganized people.
But Baba Umar, so they're not organizing white folks. White folks aren't organizing and being told what they're gonna get in return. How come we?
Oh, yes, they are.
Oh, they are? Tell me, give me an example. Tell me how.
Action committees, Baba. They have lobbyists and they have political action committees who go to Congress and go to the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee with money, and they say, how you think the homosexuals got so much power? They went with their lobbyists and their political action. This is what the pharmaceutical industry does. This is what the agricultural industry does. This is what the European Jews do. It's what Latinos do. It's what feminists do. They organize their votes and they organize their money and they send their lobbyists and their political action committees to Washington, D.C. Baba Mike, where is our political action committee to improve the schools? Where is our committee for passing immigration? Where is our action committee against gentrification? Where's our political action committee against police genocide? Where's our political action committee against economic apartheid? Baba Mike, all the money we have. We are a $2 trillion people, Baba Mike. It makes no sense for us to be politically disorganized. We should be leveraging our money and weaponizing our influence to make change in Washington, D.C. that all black people can benefit from, not just the black bourgeoisies.
So, but is that possible?
Yes.
How do we go about that? Because we've been here all this time and no one's put that together. How do we go about it?
Here's a big issue we have, Baba Mike, and I'm sure you know.
Okay. Wait, say that again, because we losing your sound a lot. So say it again.
Let me try that Wi-Fi one more time.
Try that Wi-Fi one more time.
Let me try that one more time. Let me try that one more time. I can still speak though, Baba, if you can hear me.
I can still hear you. And I'm going to bring folks in about 5 minutes. So, but
no problem, Baba Mike. Let me say this, Baba Mike. We approach our politics the same way that we approach our religion. And what I mean by that, Baba Mike, we vote for people because we like them. We don't vote for people based on policy. We vote for people on how they talk. That's what you do in church. You choose your church because you like the pastor. You choose your church because you like the sermons that the pastor gives. You like the way he presents and the way he articulates. That's okay for religion, Baba Mike. It's not okay for politics. We on Wi-Fi now. How am I sounding now, Elder? Am I better?
I'm hearing you clear right now. But doesn't everybody choose that way?
No, sir. Serious people, when the Asians decide who they're going to vote for, they're looking at X's and O's. What am I getting? When the homosexual community decides who they're going to vote for, they're looking at X's and O's. What am I going to get for my vote? When European Jews, when Arabs, when Italians, when Irish.
But I still remember that, though, when I was coming up, the Democrats, but that's all I knew because we were black. And they always had all these different layers of people who would get the vote out. So they had the aldermen, they had the local people who had groups of people. All they did all day long was figure out how to get the black vote. All that's gone.
Committee though, Baba Mike, that's the Democratic committee. I'm speaking of how ethnic groups use their money and their power on election day. We're the only ethnic group who does not organize, fight, and politically to make sure they gain something from their vote. That's why our vote is taken for granted, Baba Mike. That's why we have done worse under black elected officials since Dr. King's assassination. Then it's not because every black is a sellout. It's because They can only fight for us if we leverage our money and our votes to protect them, which we never do. So the average Black elected official is out there by themselves because although we voted them into office, we didn't leverage our money to keep them economically independent. Remember, in a capitalist society are the politicians themselves.
How many people around here really think that this is a democracy?
It's not a democracy.
It's not a democracy. And people keep on saying, we got to keep our democracy strong. This is not a democracy. It's a republic.
Capitalism and democracy cannot coexist. That is the fundamental contradiction of American society. Capitalism is the ownership of the essential means of production by a few people. You can't have the top 1% of America owning more wealth than the bottom 99. Let me say that again. The top 1% of Americans own more wealth than the bottom 99%. There's no way you can have that type of distribution of power and then say everybody has equal say. It's impossible. We can't all have equal say when we're working enslaving.
That's true. The deck was stacked like that from the very beginning. And you're right, but let me ask you this then. Are we stuck then, and this is my last question before we go to break and bring people in, are we stuck with voting for the lesser evil? Because neither one of them seem like they're going to bring anything that's going to help our people.
That's because we haven't held them accountable, which we can only do with organization and solidarity. So are we stuck because we waited so late? Kind of. But my question is, are we going to learn from this? Because this ain't the first presidential election, and it ain't the last one either. So the question is, are we going to learn from this so we can do something different?
It could be the last, though. I mean, the way Trump is moving, he's turning it into a dictatorship. When you break our Trump is on what?
Face. He's the face, but he's not the system. So we got to make sure we don't reduce this to Trump. He's the face. Joe Biden is the face on the machine. They are not the machine.
I like that. I like looking at that. But here's a guy who has stacked the Supreme Court because he put the three folks in to help him so that when he goes to Supreme Court, he can get whatever he wants. Supreme Court has come out and said that this man, if you're president, you can get away with anything as long as you say that it comes under your presidential realm. Huh? Yeah, and the worst thing about complete immunity, first thing he's talking about is complete immunity for police. The way police killing niggas now, and without immunity, imagine what bloodshed that would be. And last thought I'm gonna give you, just think about these, because we coming right back with a couple of folks who are gonna speak with us. I invited others, but they got scared, I guess. The last thing I was gonna ask you about was police complete immunity. Who's brainwashed the most? Is it black people or white people or the citizenry in whole? You know, because I see people say, man, I want Trump, man. I made more money with Trump. But Trump, to me, is like the worst piece of mess in the world. And yet, they're trying to put 10 commandments back in school. This guy broke all 10 of them. I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter what he says. If he can get away with this and become president again, he can make himself president emeritus. He could be president for life. You know, and there may never be another president if he gets this kind of power.
And I agree with you there, Baba, but we also got to keep in mind,
okay,
change faces all they want, but they will never change policy. And we have to make sure we don't get face and the personality. Focus on the policy. What is policy? Policy is more important than personalities. Personalities change. Policies can stay the same forever.
Well, listen, I want you to we're going to take a 2-minute break. At which time I want you to do me a favor. Go all the way out and come all the way back in. That's what we usually do when people are breaking up, and then they'll keep the words together. Hey, guys, it's the Michael Colyar Morning Show, and we're with Dr. Umar. Oh, my God, Dr. Umar Johnson. I was not even ready. I should have been more prepared with my answers, because that dude know what he's talking about, right? You can't just come on here and be asking questions. You better know what you're talking about. So we got some panelists coming on. Hold on one second. Oh, And at this point, I have to also drop a commercial. Looking for a good way to start your day? Check out the Michael Colyar Morning Show. I mean, we have fun over there. Imagine if you started every day with laughter and prayer. Just imagine how powerful you'd be. We have a comedian every show, a vocalist or poet every show. We have awesome conversation, ridiculous situations, and every show we pray. Oh man, just go to YouTube and put in the Michael Colyar Morning Show, 7 a.m. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we'll do the rest. Come hang out with us. Holla. Hey y'all, so I have a person I'm about to bring on. I don't even know this is a mystery person who's coming on being the panel, but I also have Rojas is with us today. Derek Keener is with us. Straya was here for a moment, but I don't see her anymore. So we're about to jump into the second part of the show. I was caught unawares. I wish that I laid out my comebacks better, but I'm glad to hear the information from this man who knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about when it deals with our politics as well as with our Black community. And he's awesome in how he speaks it. He's eloquent, and he ain't mean-spirited or nasty. He's matter of fact, and he's getting it said and getting it done. His name is Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm going to bring him back on right now. Dr. Umar Johnson, welcome back, sir.
How do I sound? How do I sound?
Right now, you're doing good. Count to 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All 6 of those made it. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Now, can I bring the panel some people on?
Please.
Okay, I'm bringing folks on. And also, if you have questions, and let me go back before I bring these people on. I want to show you the photos I put up of you.
Why that chat ain't, Baba? Why that chat ain't running?
Huh?
Why the chat ain't running? I'm surprised we ain't.
The comments?
Yeah.
No, they are. They up now. I'm going to go to them in a minute. I just want to put up some of the things I had on you. And this young lady is actually watching the show right now. She took the picture with that's Stacy Quentin. She sent that in earlier today, and I really am excited about the book. I know the book came out a little while early, but the rules, the facts, the things that's in this book still are relevant right now today. You know, Black Parent Advocate. Okay, let me pull first the comments back up.
And Baba, let me give out my number in case you have parents on here. Anybody who needs to reach me by text message, 215-989-9858. I repeat that. If you need to reach me by text message, 215-989-9858. And please sign up for my mailing list. Go to my Twitter, Facebook, my Instagram, or my TikTok, click on my link tree or text me for my link tree so you can sign up for my mailing list so you can stay abreast of what's happening with FDMG, my travels, different campaigns, speaking engagements, retreats, and other events.
I love what Kizzy put in here, and I'm glad you put that up. And you're going to say that again before we get out of here. Sean Stallings say you missing his point. Anyone can make their decision on how to vote. It's not a tough decision. What Dr. Umar is saying is if Black community comes together, then y'all votes can really hold some power. And everyone is saying that. No politician cares about losing or gaining your vote, but every politician will care about losing millions of Black votes if Black voters are speaking one voice. How do we get Black people to speak one voice, though?
We got to organize. And remember, Baba, we're not going to get everybody. We're never going to get everybody, but we have to get a critical mass. We need to hit at least 51%. If we can get 51%, we can begin to shake, rattle, and roll some things in this country. Remember, the Black vote has not been organized for Black people in quite some time. You would have to go back to civil rights, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and the post-Dr. King era. We have not been an organized unit, and that's because we became so drunk with integration, that everything went off, charted their own course into America after the Civil Rights Bill.
Wow.
Now time for us to come back to each other, organize, and move out in a oneness as a group, as a unit. Power is in the group, not in the individuals.
All right. Well, this is Dr. Umar Johnson y'all talking to here on the Mike Colyar Morning Show. Several people just dropped in. A couple of the folks work actually on my show. Straya Black is a comedian, and she's a outspoken person. And Derek Keener, also a comedian. And Rojas M. Smith, He's what do you call your job exactly? Because I know you're the boss over there, Rogers.
I'm a senior program manager.
Okay, all right, cool. But all y'all black people. First, Straya, did you have a question?
Well, first, hello, Dr. Umar. I've been watching you for a long time since Hidden Colors. I love what everything that you're putting out. One little thing that I do want to I want to say that you were mentioning earlier about the Democrat Party, as far as our culture, that they haven't done anything for our culture. I think a lot of times why that kind of gets, misled, not even misled or pushed to why black people vote Democrat is because back in the day, Social Security, they made Social Security for, minority people. They came up with work comp for the people. So I think that's why more of our older people will stand behind being Democrat versus being Republican. So, things like that were going on. That's why they choose to say that they'll be Democrat. And then I have a question for you. My question is, it's two of them. My first question is, what's your legacy to the people? And then my third question is, do you feel that you were targeted like Deion Sanders and Master P because you was trying to build your school?
Okay. Firstly, you're absolutely correct. An ancestor party to the Democratic 19th during the election of Franklin Delano Roosevelt when he came out with the New Deal, which gave us Social Security, things like that, other self-help programs, or in that than what the Democrats were offering. So you're absolutely correct. But after 89 years, we should have been able to reflect back on our political behavior and decide that simply still stick to the party because of what they.
Yeah, your sound is going back off. Your sound is gone again. I don't know why.
That's
I
the
told you.
government.
Well,
That's the government because he on here talking good stuff. So they trying to take the sound away.
That's true. Either that or T-Mobile. I told him you can't get no signal with T-Mobile unless you parked in front of the house. While you looking at that sound, let me throw this question that someone said, ask you, do you think the assassination attempt, first of all, I have to ask you think it's real, but secondly, is this accelerating his presidency, Trump? This so-called assassination attempt, this joke of an attempt, this. Yeah, that's why I found out that really Mike Tyson bit his ear off. The story changes all the time. Where did Dr. Lamar go? Come back on here. Okay.
Hear me, Baba?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, indeed. Because asks about legacy, well, I would probably argue the thing that I'm proud of at this point in my life is the extent to which I've been able to re-educate the Black community and Black parents about the school to prison pipeline, the special process, mental health, ADHD, disruptive behavior disorders. I do believe that I have changed forever the way Black parents do business with the public school system in the country, and that is what I'm proud of.
Okay. Do you have a question, Rojas?
Not really. Yeah, I do have a question. Good morning, Dr. Umar. Hope you're doing well this morning. Question for you, and I heard you mention, we always talking about we need to organize, because the power's in the people. We need to come together. We need to organize, and I totally agree. We need to get out there. We need to stand firm. We need to get our word heard. But with, and I can't think of another way to say it, with so many wannabe leaders out there now, so many fake leaders out there right now. How do we elevate and help motivate and just get out in the forefront and get the right people in front of the cameras? And I'll give an example. I was at the Essen Fest the other weekend, and I was having dinner, my wife and I, and we were sitting across from a group of African Americans, and they were talking about the summit. And I had to interrupt the gentleman because he mentioned, we're doing all these summits, we're talking to the people, but we got to do more. We have to speak their language. And that kind of threw me because I don't know of an additional language out there other than the language we speak. So I feel as if we run into issues because we speak down to our people so many times. instead of just talking to them and bringing them up to where we need to be. So how do you see us coming together as a people, having a unified front, and actually impacting change?
Great question, Bob. Well, first of all, I don't think that serious grassroots organization the way that we used to do it back in the 40s. Most organization now is white finance. Most of our community organization is white finance. Our reasons why we cannot move further is we're still dependent on white people's money to finance our own agenda, even though we are a $2 trillion people. For me, and yes, I am biased, there is no real organization when it's being funded and controlled by the white power structure. So first of all, we got to step away from the slave master's breast. That's the first thing. There is no authentic organization if you want to include non-African people and if you want to include non-African money. You got to hop off of social media. You cannot organize confidentially on social media. You have to do it the old-fashioned way. Get in people's face, knock on the doors, meet them at the supermarket, meet them when they're picking up their children.
Yeah.
We don't. We are armchair activists who only want to talk and speak from social media. One thing I respect about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and my grandmother, God bless her soul, have social media. They are still streets. You still see the Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on doors. That is exactly what Black people is supposed to be trying to do. It's not going to bring us the results that.
I remember I used to throw the phone books. The truck would come and we would all get the yellow phone books and we would have to take them to people's houses. And that was part of the aldermanship, because the aldermans were the people who was like under the city councilman, but their job was to get these phone books out in return and get votes. And they had neighborhood captains. And that captain was in charge of that community getting their votes out. I remember when there was layers of people, especially I grew up in Chicago, so I grew up in the Daley era with Mayor Daley, and everybody had a system where they would get the votes in. That just got shattered. That's gone. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right. And if Michael, if I can say this real quick, Dr. Johnson, you hit the nail right on the head, because that was the second part of the conversation I overheard at dinner that night. As you know, I'm sure everybody knows, Coca-Cola is the major sponsor for the Essence Festival. And so one of the young ladies asked the intelligent question, because the billionaire Robert Smith was there. It's like, well, why isn't Mr. Smith sponsoring this? Why isn't he a major contributor? Black event. And the brother at the table asked the most ignorant question I thought in history. What is there for him to gain by investing in this? And, and I just wanted to amplify what he said, because that hit home to exactly what you just described about the white dollar and us putting our money behind our people.
We are large because we are not committed to being anywhere else, and we will not weaponize our dollars. We are the only community in America that does not weaponize our for political and economic gain. And Black people keep saying, why we can't move forward? Why we still stuck here? What we don't want to hear the solution. The solution is a sizable portion of your disposable income is going to have to go towards the revolution. Are you ready to put it up? Are you ready to change your spending habits? Are Black women ready to stop spending $30 billion a year on hair? Are Black men ready to stop spending $2 billion a year on Air Jordans, or $4 billion a year on, or $800 million a year on chicken, turkey, beef, and pork? Black people are too comfortable, and they are not interested in being uncomfortable. And the first casualty in revolution is convenience. This is a small and convenient. It will be rough. It will be tough. We will have to suffer. But if we care about our grandchildren's grandchildren, we should be willing to pay the price.
So is there any hope? Because it seems this sounds hopeless. I mean, because let me tell you, I'll tell you, we got a challenge every day on the internet, and I challenge Black people to come together. I don't ever see that. I don't ever see us really stick together. That's why I have you on the show now, is to talk about us as a people coming together. Because we spend a a gazillion dollars, but we don't spend none of it in our own community. We spend like 3% in our own community.
We have to change the mindset, Baba Mike, and simply state it, until we take back the education of our children, we will never be a free people. To transform consciousness of any group of people, you have to do that in the minds of the children. 95% of all Black children in America are educated by non-Black people, even if their parents are rich.
Dang.
Or they go to dysfunctional neighborhood schools. Until we start educating our own children, we cannot be serious about freedom.
You have a question, Dad?
Hey, listen, first off, let me just say, Michael Colyar, thank you for allowing me an opportunity to speak with one of my newer heroes, Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar, I appreciate a lot about you. I agree and disagree with so much that you talk about. And listen, I got it tatted on me because I believe in us. So my question to you is, it's really two parts. I was listening to the show earlier when we were talking about what Barack Obama did not do for African Americans or Black people in America. And so the first part of that question is, was it not part of his responsibility to not go in and just do everything or make tons of changes for Black America so that he could set it up for the next Black person to be able to come in and make changes gradually? I don't think it'll happen in our lifetime, but I know that maybe, man, I had to come in and be such a great guy that the next president or the next Black man that was elected, it'll be easier for him to be elected based upon my demeanor. I want to know how you feel about that.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. It's like Dr. Umar working in the schools as a psychologist, and I'm seeing Black children be misdiagnosed as retarded and learning disabled and ADHD. And because I don't have the courage to take on the power structure of the public school system, I say I'm just going to play it safe, not really fight for my children while I have a chance to, and just try to learn as much as I can and pass the baton to the next Black school psychologist. I can't afford to do that because I don't know if there's ever going to be a next Black school psychologist. And if there is, there's no guarantee that he's going to have the integrity that I have. So when you're given an opportunity to affect change, you need to affect it. And for the Black folks who said Barack Obama couldn't do anything just for Black people because he's president of all of America, Joe Biden did something just for transgenders. Everybody in America is not a transgender. He did something just for Asians. Everybody in America is not an Asian. Donald Trump passed the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. Not everybody in America is a Hispanic. So we have constantly seen Obama, Biden, and Trump take care of particular constituencies, and none of them have taken care of us. So it's not acceptable to take care of others and not even come back home and do something for your own.
Understood and agreed. But really, would we have another opportunity to get in the White House?
Question. Because me personally, I'm not interested in seeing another Black president. You know why? Because Black people are so politically uneducated. We actually think a Black man in the White House policy of white America. Faces do not change policies. And we think every time we see a face, the policy changes. The policy of Black people has been 100% exactly the same it was 100 years ago. And we keep on thinking that if we change the face, we change the policy. So I would be better off without another Black president, because all we're going to do is go to sleep for 8 more years.
All right. So now you talked a lot about being organized, right? And so I actually think you would be a great person to organize. I don't think agreement is great for us at all times. I believe we need to disagree on a lot in order to affect and invoke change, right? So with organizing, are there portions of what you believe and what you know that you are willing to, I guess you could say, compromise on in order to bring the group together? Because I believe if we were to organize, we're not monolithic in our thinking. We're, you know what I mean? And so I want to know if you are willing and or other leaders are willing to compromise on certain portions in order for us to become organized.
Well, It depends on what we're compromising on, because my political principles are uncompromisable. I'm not organizing with black men, because if you're not married to a black woman, I know you're not serious about black liberation. I'm not compromising. It goes for the sisters. I'm not working with non-African money.
All right. And let me
Non-negotiable. If you're going, the only people at that table should be us. Money at that table should be.
Hey, I agree with you, Dr. Umar. I want you to know, because of you being a comedian, I am now 7 years, 6 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days, and I think 13 hours free from white women. I want you to know, I let them go, brother. I let them go.
Okay. I still have to say, I do take issue with the whole idea that a black president couldn't step in there and do this job. I mean, the only reason I would find the problem is I don't know any black people who have the kind of connections and the clout, because everything, first of all, in life is about communications and relationships. And that is very, very true. In politics is who you know and how you connect to see what you can get done, because Barack Obama did a lot of great stuff, despite what anyone would like to say. In fact, I would encourage people to go online and just pull up job well done or 44 things President Barack Obama did accomplish. And you'll see a lot of stuff that he did accomplish. But you have to understand, he accomplished this while fighting an entire system that's trying to keep the black man from winning. That nothing in the world was worse than them for our society than having a black man as the leader of the free world. And I mean, never have you heard people threaten the president before Barack Obama. No one ever threatened a president out loud. No one ever threw a weapon, a shoe, anything at a president. The biggest white racist on air was Lou somebody. This dude came on and his first statement was, I want the president to fail. If anyone had done that who was on a major station and it was a white president, they would have shut him down and probably the station too. So the guy got away with everything. I mean, the guy had to go through everything and still accomplish a lot. So I'm not laying down to the ideal that a black president first can't do it and that Barack Obama's tenure was wasted. I think he got a lot of stuff done. Let me bring Dr. Umar back in. I'm sorry, sir. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, now I'm gonna stop.
I look at Adam Clayton Powell. I look at our black elected officials during Reconstruction, like the great Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. They had way more obstacles to face than Barack Obama. They didn't really protect them. They were still lynching black people back then, and they stood 10 toes down way more than Barack Obama did. So I can't buy them excuses in 2009 and 2012. I can't buy them excuses because 100 years ago we had black elected who could have lost their life by speaking up for black people, and they still chose to do it. So I can't accept that.
Okay, we ain't doing that no more. I don't know what happened, but we ain't doing that no more. we did that a lot, but we ain't laying our life down no more. I wish we would, but no. And what was you talking? You were talking too about bacon, the bacon revolt, the bacon uprising, right? The bacon revolution.
Well, I was kind of focusing on the German coast uprising down in New Orleans.
Okay.
But it might have been with Charles DeLong, the brother who they caught him and cut his hands and feet off and then shot him up to death and then burned him alive. And that revolt took place about 11 years after the Gabriel Prosser revolt. And then the Nat Turner revolt came in 1831. But before Nat Turner, we had the Denmark V revolt in 1822 in Charleston, South Carolina. So again, we come from a legacy of sacrifice. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't want to sacrifice to move forward. Can we be honest? Not us five, but we as a people are not interested in sacrifice. We want change without struggle. What did Frederick Douglass say? No progress. You're not going to get anywhere. You got to give up in order to go up, and black people don't want to give up their inconveniences in order to move forward.
I'm voting for Jasmine Crockett. I just want to be clear on that. Okay, she may not even be on the ballot, but I'm voting for Jasmine Crockett.
So I do have another question.
All right, go ahead. What is that question?
Have you looked at her campaign contributors, her campaign finance? Only got a bad habit of jumping out there for elected officials, and we haven't studied who's paying to win. Because if you don't know where the money comes from, you don't know what it is. Follow the agenda.
And hold on. Listen here. Let me say this. Now, see, me personally, I've known Jasmine almost 20 years, way before any type of fame came along with her. She did my divorce. You know what I mean? Like, she's been my attorney for quite some time. And so I don't know where her money coming from, but I know she'll know where her heart is at. And I know a lot of times that can change.
And out there as a lesson for black folks, we did not to follow the money. We would have followed Barack. If we would have said who financed Obama, two black Americans nothing before he was.
What? I'm so mad that your sound is crazy.
Yeah.
There's a person that wants to pop in, but I can't put nobody on if I don't see his face though. I ain't putting no anonymous faces on here. Somebody in the dark saying shit. No,
Hey,
we
so
not
two things.
doing that, bro.
Two things, Michael.
If your face comes up, then I'm willing to go. Okay, so let me ask you this. You said America is rooted in the need to oppress black people. Is that just America, or is that the white world? Because as far as I can see,
is the white
since the beginning of time. Yeah.
Where you go in the world, you will see four things. And as someone who's spoken on every continent except Australia, I can tell you there's four constants with black. I don't care if you're in Brazil. I don't care if you're in North Philadelphia, LA. I don't care if you're in Nigeria. I don't care if you're in Japan. If there's black people there, constant. One, white Jesus rules the black. We white of God. We ain't up here. Still religious colonized. Number two, single motherhood. Mass incarceration of black men. I don't care where you go in the world, black women are raising our sons alone and black men are behind bars. Number three, the black economy is completely dominated by black people. Even in Africa, there's not an economy on earth where black people live, where black people control it. Let me say that one more time.
Damn.
No black people on the planet Earth that controls their own economy. That's number three. And number four, what black men chasing white girls, the snow bunny crisis. It's a global epidemic.
Damn. Now, look, is your phone, do you have your phone like this?
I do now, Bob.
Okay, so is your speaker on the bottom? So that's where the sound cuts off. If it's set like this. If you set it
now
to
the
the
mic
side,
is on. I think it's this poor Wi-Fi, Bob. I think I'm in a bad space. That's what I think.
I think it's because what you're talking about. You know, anytime that you get to talking about
it could be the
things,
FCC, Bob. It could be the FCC, the white
yes,
power
they're
structure.
gonna.
Eyes Anton is trying to get on. Looks like he's put a face up too. Eyes Anton, do we have an actual face, brother?
Don't let him on without a face, Bob. He could be a
Antonia.
YouTube struggle streamer.
Yeah, she said this is Antonia. Oh, okay, there's a person. Okay. All right, here we are.
Okay, am I coming in?
I
Am
see
I
you
coming
now.
in clear? Because it's a lot of. Is it Borgen? Are we Borgen? Or am I coming in clear?
You're clear. We can hear you. We can hear you. What's your name?
Okay, can you give me 1 second? I'm ordering coffee. I'm gonna cut the camera off and then I'm coming right back on.
All right. Okay, we'll get back to her.
So two things, Michael. Two things while we're waiting on her.
Go ahead.
Dr. Price, you hit it. I mean, Dr. Johnson, you hit it right on the head. You know, we're so comfortable in our current setting and where we are, whereas, you know, we don't want to get uncomfortable. And it takes being uncomfortable to actually make something happen. And that's one of the things I really want to applaud you on is your level of comfort making others uncomfortable while at the same time not being disrespectful. I think that's paramount in a leader, and I really applaud the way you do that. I mean, I truly do. And most importantly, my second comment, which is the most important, Derek, you're not telling the truth. I saw you 2 weeks ago coming out to Motel 6 with a white woman.
First of all, brother, I was trying to show her where a white man was at.
So you just helping. You just being helpful.
Brother,
Wait,
I'm here to help.
I gotta get these things. I gotta get these answered real quick. You said, well, I want to ask you, what is religious narcissism? You said
religious narcissism is the belief that your particular form of worship is the only right one. And anyone who dares practice any other faith or spiritual system system is a sinner and
Wow.
is against God. And that type of religious narcissism is one of the leading contributors to the mass disorganization of the Black community. People believing you got to be Christian in order to work with them. You got to be a Muslim in order to work with them. You got to be a Hebrew or a Jehovah's Witness or an African traditionalist in order to work with them. As a Pan-Africanist, we believe in freedom of religion. We don't suffer for what we believe in. We suffer because of who we are. Black first, religion second.
Come on, somebody. All right, Derek, what were you having to piggyback on that?
No, I think that's the first time I've heard of that term. And I'll say this, my father was a pastor until he passed away. And, for quite some time, I believed that I was a religious narcissist. And it was because of, I'm not saying he made me that way, but I think the culture made me that way until I got grown and I realized that if I were born in Southeast Asia, maybe I would be Buddhist. If I were born in Northern Africa, or maybe I'd be Muslim or Catholic or whatever. And so how dare I limit, if I truly believe in God, who I believe he is, how dare I limit him? So I love the religious narcissism. I'm sorry, Straya had something, but I like it.
Okay, so the question that I have, because I am a single Black mother who's raising her child single, what would you suggest as far as like being in public schools? Because I was raised in public schools, although I wish that I could afford private school and things like that for my son. But what would you suggest for women like me who, is trying to move forward in that light of, private school, but I can't afford it or things like that? What would you suggest to women like me?
Are you raising a masculine child or a
Yes.
boy? Okay.
Yes.
Number one, discipline. My biggest critique of single Black mothers, you are too soft on your boys. And by being too soft, by not having the consequences, you're setting him up for failure in a very racist and unfair white world when he cannot control himself or perform as expected because he was always able to talk his mother out of consequences. Y'all tend to love your sons and not raise them. Raise him discipline and self-control. Try to get him around a male role model father figure of some sort if his father isn't consistent. Number three, you're going to have to make sure he values academics over athletics. One of the biggest weaknesses in our community, Black boys are often raised by their fathers, unfortunately, to prioritize athletics over academics. So they're the best football player, but they don't have a high school diploma. And that's why we have such a school to prison pipeline. Make sure your son knows you don't play no football in this house if you can't read on grade level. There will be no basketball in this house if you can't count on grade level. Make sure the academics takes precedent over the athletics. Right now, we got Black boys in AAU, summer football camp, basketball camp, baseball, track, and all these sports who are failing academically because their mothers and fathers are prioritizing athletics over academics. Make sure you're not that parent. Also, make sure you control your son's peer group. He is not allowed to hang out with whoever he wants to hang out with. You have to know his friends. You have to know their parents, and you have to have a dinner with your son and his friends once a month to make sure they are still the type of young people you want your son to be around. And the most important job of a Black parent, after making sure your son knows that you love him, because love is important, it is discipline. You must make sure he has discipline. And Dr. Umar's definition of discipline is the ability to do what you don't want to do when it has to be done, whether you like it or not.
Thank you.
No
I love all of that.
Go ahead.
Well, Uncle Mike, he's been talking about the school to prison pipeline. This is something that I've been familiar with because of my years in education. I was a school teacher teaching world geography and world history. And Dr. Umar, one of the things that I did, and I want to know if I was wrong or what you feel about it. Maybe not if I was wrong, because I truly believe I was right. How do you feel about the way that education is going now? I totally believe there is a school to prison pipeline. I believe I can track it back to integration as to when it began to happen. But one of the things that I did is they were constricting what teachers could teach. And I would always question my classroom. We wouldn't just go by the book. I would question those students in my classroom about where were Black people during this time. If I'm teaching world history, I don't believe that it's illegal for me to teach you to think. Thinking was the only thing that I really believe that I taught the children how to do. Not the curriculum, not World War I, World War II, any of that. It was to think. It is not illegal to think. What do you think teachers can do in this climate to, I guess you could say, propel our children to think versus just learn what's in the book or the curriculum?
First of all, good brother, based on what you said, I would consider you a complete success story as a classroom teacher, because the most important thing you can do with our children is teach them how to think and how to act. I tell parents, teachers all the time, if you can't do nothing else, teach them how to think and teach them how to act. And you're absolutely right. The birth of the school to prison pipeline began on May 17th, 1954, when our great ancestors, Thurgood Marshall, Charles Hamilton Houston of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, influenced the United States Supreme Court to overturn Plessy versus Ferguson and outlaw the use of race in public education. If it wasn't for school desegregation, there would be no disciplined schools. If it wasn't for school desegregation, there would be no special ed. If it wasn't for school desegregation, there would be no school police. If it wasn't for school desegregation, there would be no ADHD or psychiatric medication. All of these factors were introduced after school desegregation to marginalize, pacify, and ultimately miseducate Black children. White women are most of the teachers in this country. Black people are absolutely crazy if you think white women are going to prepare Black children to compete with white kids. The reason public school must fail, it must fail in order to guarantee white privilege for white students.
I think that's beautifully said, because and I looked around at the school system. Once integration happened, your Black males began to leave out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I tried to help Straya not be a single Black mother. I was offering her something, you understand? Because I want all these single Black mothers to have a man like me. But I'm helping to raise 2 young boys right now, and that's the one thing that we do is we do homework every evening in the summertime. We're going to learn something, even if it takes you 1 hour a day, 30 minutes a day. It's not going to hurt your child to put down that device and really learn something from you as their parent.
Hey, we have another guest. She just popped back in. I guess she got her coffee. I guess you got your coffee. Did you get your coffee?
Yes, and I had to get the connection. It was borging really bad, but good morning to everyone on the panel, Dr. Umar, Michael Colyar. I've had the pleasure of meeting both of you guys. So
Good morning.
I know that I'm speaking to some great gentlemen. But I'm going to go ahead and let you finish. And then I do have 3 questions, if you don't mind.
No, we're taking the questions now. What questions do you have, dear?
Okay, well, the first question is, I want to go back to the organization. And I have a question for Dr. Umar is, we know that historically politics have been ingrained in our religious beliefs in reference to the Black church. So my question is, what is the differences between how the church was utilized in the civil rights and previous to that, and how the Black church is used today with politicians garnishing the pulpit for political gain?
Great question. Black America after Dr. King is completely different from Black America before Dr. King. And to your question, the Black church before Dr. King was an organization, an instrument of advocacy. It was a Black empowerment organization. It did much more than teach people how to pray. It did much more than prepare you for heaven. We fought the Klan through the church. We got jobs through the church. We buried our dead through the church. We raised our children through the church. The Black church was the Walmart of the Black community. It was the one-stop, all-purpose place you can get anything that you needed. Post Dr. King, the Black church has reinvented itself. It is no longer an organization of agitation, now an organization of accommodation. The Black church is all about show. It's all about money. It's all about who has the biggest prayer house. And I can't find a single Black church in America, not a mega church, in fact, that is at the forefront of fighting against mass incarceration, miseducation, police genocide, economic apartheid. You can't find a black church, not the big ones, that's involved in a major fight for black people. The black church is a parasite. I'm gonna say it again. There are some exceptions to the rule. I don't want to put every black church in that bucket, because I do know some black churches that do some damn good work, but though they are few and far in between. Most black churches are parasites. They suck money out of our community. They suck time out of our community. They suck energy out of our community, and they don't put nothing back in return.
Thank you. So to piggyback off of that question, reference to organization, you know, part of kind of this new age within the Black community is somewhat, we'll say, the woke community. So we know we have more people that are not subscribing to traditional Christianity. And because they're using the political Christian church in the Black community, how would you go about organizing all Black people, regardless of their religious beliefs or their spiritual beliefs, to come together to organize for the benefit of everyone?
Well, if you're serious about Black liberation, your religion will not be an obstacle. So if we're going to organize Black people, the first thing you have to do is you have to get rid of the religious narcissists. They will destroy the movement. They will destroy it, because religious narcissists have been raised to believe that if they don't worship as we worship, they are not God's children, and therefore they are not worthy of our company. So you got to get the religious narcissists out there. You also have to rid yourself of the intellectual masturbators. These are brothers and sisters who are not necessarily affiliated with a religion, but they believe that their line of thought is the only line of thought. So if you're not a socialist, if you're not a nationalist, if you're not an integrationist, you know, they would be the political counterpart of the religious nationalists. You got to get rid of the intellectual masturbators too, because intellectual masturbators will destroy well, because they will build cliques and camps inside the organization to make sure Black people never work together. But here's the thing: you don't need everybody. You just need the right people. As the brother said earlier, we don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to agree on some things. Many are called, but few are chosen.
Okay,
Wow.
and thank you so much for responding. I just have two more questions, and then I was going to go ahead and let someone else speak. So with that being said, separation of church and state, how does that benefit us as a group when the church is still utilized as a means and a ways to push our community to have specific political beliefs or support certain groups, when we can look at the statistics and say that in this current era, the church is not necessarily have our benefit, but how are they still using religion in reference to church, separation of church and state?
Well, separation of church and state is a government thing. That that doesn't necessarily hold relevance in the Black community. On a community-based level, there's no separation between the Black church, and the rest of us. But the question is, the people who go to the Black church, why are they not demanding more of their religious leaders? The Black clergy has been ineffective, and it has been irrelevant. Look at all the killing going on in our community. Look at all the unemployed Black people in our community. Look at all the returning citizens coming out of prison in the Black community. Look at all the police brutality in the Black community. And the Black church is not involved at all in any of those major fights. And a big reason why they're not fighting is they're too busy getting government grants. They're too busy getting local county grants. They're too busy getting school district grants. To make a long story short, the Black church is being financed by the white power structure not to get involved in our major struggles.
Okay, wait. Now we're running out of time, and I don't want to end this thing. What I was talking about 2025, the project 2025 is like the most craziest thing I've ever heard. And if Trump is in office, he says he's going to utilize that program. Which one of the things we talked about already is immunity across the board for any police officer. So you can just kill anybody if you wear a uniform, and you don't have to do nothing. But there's so much other stuff that's terrible in there. How do you feel about this project, the 2025? What is your take on it?
If we go back to the 1990s, I'm sure you guys remember Newt Gingrich, and he had a contract in America. So these types of, conservative platforms, they come out every 10 or 20 years. The bigger question is not what they're up to. The bigger question is, what are we going to do? Yes, they want to eliminate the United States Department of Education. I already said they were going to do that anyway. Anybody who's followed my work, I would tell you that for 30 years. They're going to get rid of the Department of Education because most white people either don't send their kids to private schools or don't have children at all. And since the U.S. Constitution does not guarantee your child an education, a lot of white people are wondering why they got to pay taxes, school taxes, when my Constitution doesn't even require public education. They want to get rid of us, Social Security. We already know that they were thinking about doing that. Republican and Democrat, they were thinking about doing that. Okay. They want people to work longer in life. We already knew about that. A lot of what's in 2025, they already working on. A lot of this stuff has already been in place. So when I look at 2025, I'm not as alarmed as other people because none of this is really new stuff if you've been paying attention to politics. But again, it's not what they're going to do. What are we going to do?
Do we have, final question, and we got to wrap it up. Do we have a loyalty problem? And absolutely. I'm talking about loyal to each other as a people.
Absolutely. And the reason we have a loyalty problem is Black people have lost faith in their race. We don't believe we can overcome white supremacy. We're looking at this and we're saying, wait a minute, guys, we've been under white power for at least 405 years. 4 centuries is not that. So when a lot of Black people look back at those 4, they say there's no way we're going to overcome white supremacy. And that's why when we look to organize, we must not only look at people, education or income or their activism skills, we also look at their psychological commitment to liberation. Because I don't care how much you have to offer, if you don't fundamentally believe that Black people can win, you should not be a part of what we're doing. The mental is far more important than the physical. What did Napoleon Bonaparte say? The racist French general who was defeated by our brothers and sisters during the Haitian Revolution. Napoleon said, if I have to choose between a bunch of cowards in a very well provided for army or a bunch of lions in a poorly provided for army, he said, give me the lions with the poor weapons. But because he said the mental is far more important than the physical, and it outweighs it of a ratio of about 5:3. He said, I'd rather have the courageous without the weapons than the good weapons with the powers. We need the right people. We don't need all the people.
Let me submit this. I believe that we've been out of touch with each other for a long, long time. I think love has to be first from self. We have first to learn love ourselves. If you love yourself, then it's easier for you to love the people and the folks around you. But I've said this before, white folks have done a very excellent job of teaching niggas how to hate themselves. So we are always doing stuff that hurts us, hurts our community, as opposed to coming together. It's because what we taught and people accepted that, but we got to get to a whole different acceptance. The acceptance that God is one. We are a powerful people if we pull together, but as long as we all spread out like we are, as long as we got Toms on one side and people who going to go for whatever dollar you give them on the other side, we're going to always be in trouble. I wish we can come up with some type of solution that starts creating organizations where Black people come back together. I mean, something as simple as Operation Push in Chicago that Jesse Jackson started years and years ago. He's still maintaining that.
Fine.
And I go there, wait one second. Wait, I can tell you this. I go in there, be 30 people there, 40 people there. Nobody supports the thing that's right there for the community. And so a thing like that dies away. Go ahead, Brother Umar.
I was just going to say Operation Push was financed by Caucasians. So although I do, agree with you, there's a lot of good people in Operation Push. There's a lot of good people in the Urban League. There's a lot of good people in the NAACP, but those are all white financed and therefore white controlled institutions. It needs to be Black from the top down to be relevant. But the other point too, Baba Mike, to your point, is our culture is based on conflict. Black Americans thrive on conflict. We love to see Black people fighting. We love to see Black people disrespecting each other. Look at the reality shows. Look at hip hop culture. Hip hop culture thrives on conflict. The reality shows thrive on conflict. Black people don't even want to watch it or be included if there ain't a good beat. We Black people tearing each other down. It is the foundation of our culture. Unity isn't sexy. Unity isn't attractive. Solidarity isn't going to get people's attention. So if we want to change the culture from conflict to cooperation, we're going to have to change the way our children think, because we're raising them the same way we were raised, and they're being exposed to the same things we were exposed to. We have to kill the culture of conflict in order for us to rise.
Hell yeah.
That's it. And that's it right there, Michael. That's
Yes.
the point. We talked about, Dr. Moore, we talked about organization. We talked about different organizations and things we need to do. That organization starts in the home. That's where it starts. You organize in the home first. You organize what you instill into your children.
Starts at home.
Because let's face it, we're in it. We're fighting the fight right now, and we're fighting this good fight for the next generation, for our kids, for our grandkids. So it starts in the home. It starts in what you start instilling in them. You know, even you talked about the single parents and the discipline. That is paramount. I'm a firm believer. Stop feeling sorry for your decisions or your circumstances and holding back from disciplining your child when they're wrong. These children need to be disciplined and set on the right course. It starts in the house. Organization starts in home, in the house. What we present to our kids, what we teach them, what we let them hear, what we share with them, how we communicate with our kids. You can't expect a child to demand society to talk to him or her in a certain manner when the parents are calling them outside of their name in the home. It starts in the home. That's where the major break in the chain is. That's how you get your kids off that pipeline from school to prison. It starts in the home. You
All right.
take them out of that pipeline and you put them on the right course. That's where it begins.
And I absolutely agree with you. I'm going to say one statement, then I'm going to ask you to wrap it up for us, Dr. Umar. And I'm going to thank you for being here. You know, at the end of the day, man, it is about survival, but it's about your personal survival, your individual survival. And for that to happen, you got to go back to the very beginning, which is love yourself. If you're loving yourself, then you're loving your family. God is the center of all of it for me, because I know as long as I keep God first, I can do anything, even communicate with other people that I normally couldn't communicate with if I keep God first. I always believe that everything's about family and God. Once those two are together, then you start working for your block and then your community. I grew up on the block. When I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, this before they had hoods, we had neighborhoods. And that's where everybody on that block was responsible for everybody on that block. If you was a kid and you did something wrong, a parent on the other end of the block could smack the hell out of you and call your mama, who be waiting at the house to give you round number 2 because they looked out for each other. All of that is gone. Disciplining kids, all of that is gone. Now you get ready to hit your kid, he's dialing 911. I ain't saying beat up your kids, but without discipline, nothing can survive. Nothing can thrive. No business, no organization. So as a people, the Black people, we need to be more organized. We need to figure out how to come together as groups and realize that it really is a us against them. We don't want to be at that. We don't want to be that way. But let me tell you something. Some white girl, little Muffy or Amber comes up missing, there's going to be an alert. But let Shaquita come up missing. Shit, her ass is on her own. So we got to realize that if we're going to survive, we have to save ourselves. We have to understand and love ourselves as a people in the community and lift each other up by working together. It's the biggest challenge in the world. I watched ants the other day walking along by half a block. These ants was working, didn't break the line. I said if niggas could work like ants, we'd take over the world. We got to learn to come together. That's all I have on this. I want you to wrap it up for us, Dr. Umar, and I want to say thank you for giving us an hour and a half of your time and letting us try to pick your brain. And I promise to be more prepared when I get you back here for round 2. What would you like to leave us
No
with?
problem. I enjoy my phone number. Good brothers and sisters out there who need to reach me, especially our parents, if they need any consultation or help with their children involving education and mental health. That cell number is 215-989-9858. Again, that's 215-989-9858. They can also reach me through the website, drumarjohnson.com. And please sign up for my mailing list by going to my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Columbia, South Carolina, I'll see you Wednesday. Miami, Florida, I'll see you next Saturday. Eastern Michigan University, I'll see you August 2nd and 3rd for the Black Consciousness Conference. And then London, England, I'll see you August 11th. I'm going to close with the words of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there will be no progress. Those who profess the faith of freedom and deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the roar of the water. Frederick Douglass said this struggle may be moral or it may be physical, or it might be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle.
Well, you still with me, brother?
It never did do, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them, and this will continue until they are resisted with words or blows or with both. He who wants to be free must himself strike the first blow. Black power.
I love you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being on this show. I gotta thank Eyes Anton. She dropped in the last minute. She got her coffee first, but she had really great questions. I really appreciated you coming in. We want you to come back more. Thank you, Rojess and Straya, for dropping in, and even Derek Keener. Thank you all for being here. I've never done one of these, so I just want to thank everybody. We usually do a completely different format, but for this great man to sit on and let us ask questions, and even when my footing is off, I'm going to get back stable and figure it out before it all goes away. So I thank you all. God bless you real good. And anyone who's watching the show, tomorrow is the Mike Collier Morning Show, same time, 7 o'clock, when we do our regular routine. We got music, we got romance, we got relationships, we got God. And we do it every show. So 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, Los Angeles time. Tune in and see what we do for Friday Fun Day. And thank you. Keep God first. And remember, life is a garden if you dig it. Thank y'all and goodbye. I appreciate y'all so much. Woo, woo, woo. Dr. Umar Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Dr. Umar Johnson on the Mike Collier Morning Show. Woo, woo, woo. You ring the bell and everything. Blessings. Thank you guys. And now I'm ending the show.